Charlie T, what's up, man? We got UFC 314 and some fight picks. You ready for this?
I'm excited. It's going to be a good card.
Yeah, me too. It's been a string of some fight nights that were just so it's nice to have this card in it.
Yep.
All right, let's get rolling. Start with the first fight. You always pick first, Charlie. We got Nikita Krylov, who's ranked number 8. I believe he hasn't fought in a couple years, if I remember correctly. And we've got Dominic Reyes, ranked number 11. Been pretty active lately. Both guys similar in their last few fights they've won, though. Who you got and why?
Well, if you'd asked me who I had in this fight, if it was in like 2019 or 2018 or even 2020 or, see where I'm going, I'm taking Dominic Reyes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm taking, taking Krylov just because, honestly, he was kind of torn on it. Because in the past 5 fights, Reyes is 2-3 and Krylov is 3-2, so they're both pretty streaky in that regard. I don't know. I just think Reyes has not looked good at all, and this is more so a pick against him than it is a pick for Krylov. So yeah, Krylov by decision.
Krylov by decision. Okay. Well, it looks like we're starting off on opposite ends of the spectrum, Charlie. I'm actually going to go with Dominic Reyes in this one. Now, let me try to explain to you why. Yeah, underdog in this one. He's definitely not he's a small underdog, though, right? I think, in the odds.
Yeah, I think it's like -1. Last time I looked, like 135, maybe.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So, here's what I saw, and I don't know, tell me if you think any of this makes sense to you. So, well, just a fun fact, first of all. I looked in Krylov's record, and it took me like 9 fights, like going back 9 fights to see anyone that wasn't a big name. I mean, dude only fights names in this division. But, like you said, streaky, he was 5-4 in those 9 fights. So, went back a little ways to do that. But he's got 2 times the experience of Dominic Reyes, almost 2 times the fights. I'll give him that. 2 years younger. That difference is not a big difference. He has a lot of submissions on his record, but he has low takedown accuracy, which I found to be interesting. So maybe he's knocking these guys down and then submitting, or getting them in a situation where they're kind of balled up and then submitting them. I haven't watched too much footage to know the details on that, but Dominic Reyes has an 83% takedown defense rating, so he's pretty good at that. And then Krylov doesn't really take people down, so I would think.
And he also should have the one. He should have the one loss on his record given to John Jones.
Yeah, he should have. He should have been given that, right? I mean, I think most MMA fans agree with that, and that would have changed his. Whether he lost a lot after that or not, that would have changed his career in general.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Johnny Hendricks pummeled St. Pierre in their championship fight, didn't get the decision, and his career trajectory, even though he became champion for a little bit after, still was kind of like, it was on the ascent. And if he'd have gotten that decision win, I feel like he would have gone to like all-time welterweight prestige. It's kind of like one fight can change the trajectory of your career by a lot.
100%. Yeah, a lot of people had Hendricks winning that fight, and then same way with Reyes. I think Reyes, that one was ridiculous in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there at this point. So Reyes has good takedown defense. Krylov doesn't really have a high level of takedown attack, but he's getting these submissions, so it's probably from something that has to do with his stand-up game. And then Reyes has been more active lately, even though Krylov's actually beat a couple of the guys that Reyes lost to, but it was years ago. I thought this one was a close one. Honestly, I really did think it was close, and Reyes has been, Anthony Smith's not the greatest win, but that's his most recent win, I think, you know what I mean? And I'm going to go Reyes. I'm going to go underdog here. I think it's somewhat of a toss-up, but I know we disagree on that one, so we'll see. We're starting off on opposite ends. So next fight, we're getting into the drama now. A lot of these fights got some drama with them. We're getting into the drama on this one. So Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. Bryce Mitchell's ranked number 13. Gene Silva's not actually ranked coming in, but he's the heaviest favorite on the card because he's been on a string of first-round finishes. He's got a lot of hype behind him. He's on that team, the Fighting Nerds, that a lot of their fighters have been doing really well lately. And he has 0 losses in the UFC. He hasn't been in the UFC that long, but 0 losses in the UFC. So I got the first pick on this one, and man, I tried to really look into this one because there's a lot of hype behind Silva, and I'm going to go Mitchell.
Oh.
I'm going to go Mitchell, man. I think he's being overlooked. I think he's at a higher level of competition. I think people are focusing too much on the fact that they don't like what he says outside of fighting, and not enough on how good of a fighter he actually is. Now, I'll give you this. Gene Silva is up and away far ahead of Bryce when it comes to striking. But I think Bryce Mitchell is up and away ahead of Gene Silva when it comes to grappling. So I think it really depends on where the fight can go. If Bryce, you know how fights go, man. It's a 3-rounder. So if Bryce can get him down and even control him for a good portion of a round, he may be getting those points that way. We saw him. Kron Gracie's not what Gene Silva is, but Kron Gracie's a good grappler, and we saw him control Kron Gracie for almost the entirety of that fight. I'm going to go with Mitchell. I think he gets enough takedowns, and he's probably smart enough to not play that firefight game like he did with Josh Emmett and get slept. I'm going to go Mitchell, man. I know a lot of people are going Silva. Mitchell's the underdog, but I don't know why. I think it should be a closer money line than it is. It seems like you disagree. Why?
Well, just because every time I think about Bryce Mitchell now, I think about the Josh Emmett fight.
Yeah.
I know how good of a striker Silva, or at least looks like he is so far in his career.
Yeah.
That Drew Dober fight was that's pretty impressive.
Sure was.
And Bryce, I don't know. I just feel like Bryce could avoid stand up with Silva, but I don't think he's going to because similar to a guy fighting later on the card, Michael Chandler. It seems like he always wants to he has something to prove in that regard. Like, hey, I'm going to get down and dirty. I'm going to win it this way.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the fans a good show. And I feel like he's really, I love the guy's a fighter because he's really invested in giving us a good fight, but sometimes it's not always to his advantage.
I agree with that.
I think he'll end up,
Think he gets caught?
I think he gets knocked out. I'm going to second round.
Second round? Okay. I'm going to go.
Silva just looks amazing.
I think it's either going to be. Nobody's going to agree with this take, but I'm just being honest here. I think it's either going to be a decision or he's going to submit him in the third when Silva's kind of emptied his gas tank already. And I think he does it with grappling. But we'll see. I think this is a big test for both guys. Is Gene Silva ready to be ranked? And Bryce Mitchell's lower on the rankings because we know it stops at 15 as far as what they present to everyone. So does Bryce deserve to be there? We'll see. I mean, he's the heaviest underdog on the card, but I just think he's getting a little bit overlooked. So we'll see how it pans out. We're starting off with 2 opposite picks, so this is going to be a fun one either way when we're texting during the fight card. Next fight, we've got someone in this one who's it's their UFC debut, although they've been fighting for a while, which is Patricio Pitbull, who was a champion over in Bellator, multiple division champion, I believe, and Yair Rodriguez from the side of someone who's a UFC vet at this point. Yair is ranked number 5, but he is coming off of 2 losses. They are.
Yes, but who were they to, though?
Yeah, that was going to be my next point. Is he's only fighting the tip of the spear, So we're back to you with this pick: Yair or Patricio, and why?
I love Yair in this matchup. He's got, he's really a all around like really good fighter. His stand up's great, his ability to knock you out, and he's really good on the ground. He had that really triangle. Didn't he have that triangle submission? Was it Josh Emmett? I think so. Cause
I don't remember.
I think it was Josh Emmett he submitted with a triangle choke. Because he beat Brian Ortega, I believe like 3 or 4 years ago, and then Brian Ortega came back and got his revenge.
Yeah.
That last fight, but dude, he's was he ranked number 5?
Yair's number 5. Yeah, 5.
Yeah, he is. I think he's right below. Like you got your top 3. I think he's right in that tier, just below it.
I agree.
I don't see. I mean, the string of Bellator fighters who have come to the UFC, obviously, like I just mentioned in the previous prediction, we have another guy on the card, and Michael Chandler, who was Bellator's best. He was like their best thing they had to offer, and he's 2-4 in the UFC. So. I'm not saying Bellator is an inferior promotion. Well, I mean, it obviously is, but I just don't think that is a tough matchup to come in on your first fight in the UFC and expect to win. I don't see it happening. I think Yair wins it. I think he wins it by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes him, but I'm going unanimous decision.
Yeah, I can see that. And I agree with the pick. I'm going to go Yair as well. Patricio doesn't really have a whole lot of advantages in this fight except for possibly his experience. I don't know that he has. Yair's kind of young. I think he's got more fights and he's older.
He's not better on the ground. He doesn't have better stand-up than Yair. So
yep, his reach is not more.
If you know any advantage he has over Yair, please tell me.
Yeah.
It's just not there.
Yeah, I don't see it. Best of luck to him, but I think Yair is going to get it. I think they did Patricio no favors by giving him Yair his first fight. That's crazy.
Well, but look at it this way: he comes in on his first fight. He beats a top 5 ranked fighter. He's automatically in title contention.
Yeah, I mean, and he is a name, whether he's old or not. He is a name. Like even though it was in another promotion and all of that, it's kind of like. To your point, Michael Chandler, he came in and fought Dan Hooker, which I don't know where Dan was ranked at that time, but he was obviously a respectable name, and he won, which gave him the opportunity to fight all these high-level guys he's been fighting since then, whether he's won or lost. But, okay, so we both got Yair, so we got the same pick on that one. Now we'll go to the co-main event. We've got Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett. Michael Chandler's coming in ranked number 7. He's coming off of 2 losses, but we know he only fights guys that are pretty much top 3 outside of Dan Hooker and Tony Ferguson. Paddy Pimblett, ranked number 12. He's got 0 losses in the UFC. He has the controversial one. What's the guy that a lot of people thought he lost to?
It was that fight night card. Wasn't it Jared? Was it Jared Gordon?
Yeah.
Gordon?
Yeah.
So.
Jared, a lot of people thought Paddy lost that fight, but they gave it to him in a decision. So Chandler number 7, Paddy number 12. It's my pick on this one. So I always feel a little bit conflicted when Pimblett fights because he fights out of the gym that I train at MMA-wise, but in England. So, it's kind of like a home team thing. So I'm kind of always rooting for him. But I try to be unbiased and make picks on who I actually think is going to win, and so I try to factor that in as well. So a couple of things I've got here. So Chandler is a good wrestler and a heavy-handed guy. Pimblett is a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. Chandler's only submission is to Poirier in his entire career. I went back his whole career. He's only got one time where he was submitted. It was by Poirier. Who's pretty good on the ground, but I wouldn't say he's like a savant on the ground like Pimblett's more so that. He says Scousers don't get knocked out. I know one thing we're going to find out, that's for sure, because Chandler's going to test his chin, I truly believe. I think that Pimblett's cardio better be good because Chandler goes nonstop the entire fight. I had a tough time picking on this one, man, because I think it's going to be a really good fight, and I think Chandler can test his chin and get him, and Pimblett can, out game him on the ground. I think Chandler is too much of a vet. I think Chandler avoids the ground enough if he's smart enough. We'll see if he learned enough, because he started to fight smarter in his last fight against Oliveira, but he lost. And Oliveira showed that he was better. Chandler wasn't as reckless, but I don't think Pimblett's ready for that level, man. And I think Chandler's going to get him.
100% disagree. I mean, Patty already has 3 submission wins in the UFC. And Chandler is the most undisciplined fighter on the roster. I mean, unless there's someone on the undercard or prelims that is the guy's. Him and Justin Gaethje frustrate me to no end, because they're supposed to be top tier wrestlers, but they never utilize their wrestling ever.
Chandler does more than Gaethje for sure.
Chandler will stand up there and take a freaking beating, and then it's like Arman Sarukian said, you could have lost 4 close fights in the time you're waiting for Conor McGregor to come back. All he does is go in there, throw, hit, almost knock someone out, then almost gets knocked out, and then gets finished. What I think happens this fight is, I think he does catch Patty in the first or second round, probably the first round with something. Patty withholds the barrage of flurry of punches that come after that, and I think either he catches him on the ground and submits him in the first or second round. I'll go first round submission. I think Chandler catches Patty with 1 punch. It goes to the ground, and Patty gets him in some type of wild, or like his last fight, like a triangle or something. And because that is an ideal way for a Chandler fight to go. He knocks him down, and then he gets caught.
Hey, man, honestly, I don't doubt it. Like, I didn't think this was a completely one-sided thing by any means, and I could see it going either way, and I could see it going exactly like you're saying. We'll see. I think whether it goes like that or not, I think is up to whether Chandler fights reckless or whether he doesn't fight reckless. I think it's kind of in Chandler's court whether he plays that game enough, and if
even if he doesn't fight super reckless, he did not look as crisp in that Oliveira fight as he has previously. So he's what, 38 now?
I don't know.
Well, I think he's age is kind of a factor at this point. The guy's older, so
yeah.
I don't see him beating Patty. Patty's a really good fighter.
And look, maybe he wasn't as crisp against Oliveira in the last fight because he wasn't as reckless. Maybe that's part of what makes him. It gives him that edge of going in and not hesitating so much. But then it's also his demise as well. You never know. So we'll see. So we've got 3. I don't know that we've ever had 3 fights we disagreed on so far, and only 1. So we'll see how we pick the main event of the evening. We've got Alexander Volkanovski, who's ranked number 1. The title is actually vacant right now, so whoever wins this will get the title, because we had Ilya Topuria vacate his title. So we got Alex Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez is ranked number 3. Diego's a surging up-and-coming guy. Volk is a former champ who lost the belt to Topuria, right? And then he's had a string of tough fights because he fought Makhachev on short notice as well, and he fought Makhachev before that, and lost all 3 of those. So, Charlie, it's your pick. Who you got and why?
I like to draw parallels between current fights and situations and other ones. I think I'm taking Volkanovski, even though he's been knocked out his last 2 fights. Obviously, they're by pound for pound, like top 5 guys he's gotten knocked out by, but that does affect you mentally. But I remember the last time a great champion at 145 was knocked out. and he came back and won the title when the other guy decided to vacate it, and it was Jose Aldo after McGregor vacated the 145 title. I think that was kind of like his last great run at 145. He eventually lost the belt to Max Holloway. It was like 1 or 2 fights later. I think that's what we have here. I think this is Volkanovski's last great fight in the UFC. I think he puts on a performance similar to against Yair, where he knocked him out. That was before he decided to take on Makhachev again on short notice. I mean, people forget, though, that first fight against Islam, he won the last 2 rounds. And honestly, decision could have gone to him.
Yeah. Some people were saying.
He's a really good fighter, especially as the fight progresses. So if this fight goes into 3rd, 4th, 5th round, he's got all day. Lopez, the way I see him possibly winning, I'm not going to pick him, is he's a really big 145er. He could utilize his size and his reach. But Volkanovski's just so good at just pushing. He's like a mini Colby Covington in his prime, like pushing the pace and getting, staying on you consistently in your face, taking you to the ground. I think he's too much for Diego, so I'm taking him by decision.
Okay. Got Volk by decision. So my analysis on this one was that he seems to taper off towards the end of or towards in the 3rd. He seems to taper off cardio wise. And then, maybe a second win. A lot of times, if you know,
it's because his weight cuts.
Yeah.
Substantial, right? He's a really big 145er.
Yeah, that's going to hurt you, It's going to help you. Being a bigger guy, it's going to hurt you with the cardio sometimes. And so he kind of tapers off a little bit and, maybe catch a second win later. But he seems to coast a little bit towards the end. I think if Volk can withstand the barrage early of the bigger fighter, he's going to try to catch his chin just like, Volk's had happen a few times. He's going to try to do that, and if Volk's smart enough, he can play the distance game. Volk knows he's been knocked out recently. I think Volk's going to be fine, and I think he's going to pull off the win. And I think in a 5-round fight, it really favors Volk because Volk's a guy, like we talked about Chandler, is going to push the entire fight. And like you said, Colby Covington, he's going to push the pace. He's not going to slow down at any point in a 5-round fight. And I think that's going to be to Lopez's demise. And if Lopez is going to win, he needs to get it done early. Otherwise, I think Volk's going to win. It may even go where Lopez wins the first 2 rounds, Volk wins the last 3. But I think Volk's going to at least win 3, and he's going to get a decision. And I think later, the last 2 rounds, I think are for sure going to go to Volk if there's not a finish before that. That's my opinion.
He gets stronger as the fight goes on, and that's to Lopez's detriment because he gasses out as the fight goes on, and it's a cardio question. But I mean, I just don't see him right now on the same tier as Volkanovski as a fighter. I mean, I know he has that win over Ortega, but that's like his only win against like elite level 145ers. So
yeah. Yep, that's what I got. So we got 3. It wasn't too bad in the end. I mean, we got 3 fights that we disagree on. We might have had that before. If we would have had 4, I think that was going to be the biggest disagreement we've ever had. But
I'm not taking Lopez. So, but hey, the Chandler Pimblett fight, that's going to be the exciting one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva has just as much just drama riding on it. But yeah, all of them are going to be good. This whole card could be amazing, or it could be one of those ones where we have so many good fights that you get disappointed by them because they don't live up to, how it goes. A lot of times the cards no one expects to be good are some of the best, but this one everyone expects to be good. So we'll see. Got some good fight picks. That's UFC 314, the Chrome Corners fight picks. Tune in tomorrow. I'll try to get this. Tune in today, later tonight. I'll try to get this up before then, make sure everybody's got our picks, and then we'll post on Instagram as we always do. Follow us at Chrome Corner MMA. And then Charlie's page and my page will be in the description. Thank you. We're out.
Yes, sir.